Hi guys, it's Reagan and welcome to the start of another reading vlog. It's a gloomy, warmish week here in Austin, Texas, and I'm so excited to be documenting the two books I'm reading because truth be told, they could not be more different from each other. Vibe-wise, entirely different spectrums, but let's chat about them because I'm so excited to read both. So the first book is The Monster Borrow Cormorant, which is the sequel to the Traitor Borrow Cormorant, which is one of the most political, gray morality leaning fantasy books I read last year. It was brutal, fascinating, calculated, again, full of so many politics. Definitely a book I have to read carefully to make sure I'm tracking everything, but I wanted to read the sequel sooner rather than later because I'm a forgetful gal. And given how, again, political leaning this book is, I don't want to forget all the details and just be confused. So this is the first book on my TBR. It's about 450-ish pages, I believe. And then the second book that is on my TBR is actually an ebook that I just downloaded, and that is Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. T. Kingfisher also wrote Nettle and Bone, which was one of my favorite books I read last year, and I've been dying to pick up another book by her, and this one just sounded like something I was really craving because it's a fantasy romance. And I also know that T. Kingfisher's writing is like right up my alley, so I feel like it's going to be like really cute and fun, but still have some like really fantastic fantasy elements. So basically, this book follows our main character Hala, who is a housekeeper who has suddenly inherited her great uncle's estate and unfortunately his relative. Sarkis is an immortal swordsman trapped in a prison of enchanted steel. When Hala draws a sword and imprisons him, Sarkis finds himself attempting to defend his new wielder against everything from bandits to roving inquisitors to her own in-laws. I mean, doesn't that just sound so cute? So again, quite the total difference between my two reads this week. One is full of like horrible things, like horrible people doing horrible things at all costs. And then one is a cute little fantasy rom-com romp story. And I just feel like that's the kind of balance I need in my life. So those are the books I hope to read over the course of this vlog. So welcome. Lunch today is a ranch salad because I did not feel like making lunch. So here we are, can't wait. Making some very necessary evening tea. I've officially finished up work for the day in PJs. I definitely want to walk later, but right now I'm gonna eat some chocolates and start my book with some tea, with a faux fireplace. It's been like really rainy all week, which I'm just trying to embrace with the vibe of it all, very cozy vibes. And I'm gonna start with my T. Kingfisher book because I'm craving something like kind of happy. I know I need to like mentally fortitude myself before I go into the Monster Borrow Cormorant, which I also know is going to be amazing. But I need something a little light, a little palate cleanser along the way. So that's the plan. I'm also really tempted, as I see Murderbot on my Kindle, to get the next Murderbot book, but I want to listen to the audiobooks of that. But I can't start a new puzzle until I come back from Korea because I just don't have time to finish a puzzle. You know what I mean? You guys might be seeing this whilst I'm in Korea, which is mind-boggling to think about. But I'm so excited. But there we are. Oh wait, that's not the right book. Okay, take two, but there we are. Let's start. Tea, book, Matilda, fireplace. It's going down. Okay, fantastic news, everyone. Sword Heart. Delightful so far. It's so funny and charming and ridiculous, which is exactly what I was hoping it would be. So as I said, this follows our main character, Hala, and she is in the difficult position of having inherited a bunch of money from like her great uncle-in-law. Hala is a young widow and her family was really poor and she didn't want to burden them after her first husband died a few years ago. So she was actually taken in by her husband's like great uncle, who was a recluse, very strange man, and he left her his entire fortune. Unfortunately for her, her in-laws are terrible, and their plan is to basically like marry her to her cousin and then kill her and take her money, basically. So she's contemplating like what to do. She's like locked in the attic and she's basically like, I have no idea what to do. And she opens up this sword and a man pops out, Steris, I think, not Steris, Sarkis, and he's like, I am now your knight and savior, like you summoned me and therefore like I serve you, like vibes. And she's like, why is there a man in here? Like what is going on? And he's like this really formal knight sort of character, and he's like, well, it appears you're in immediate danger, so we must flee the premise. Do you have, you know, like a family or a shield maiden to help you or something like that? So it's just, it has just like really funny, like over the top vibe. It has clearly a fantasy setting. I mean, clearly there's magic and there's like other stuff kind of going on. And it's just really entertaining. I've only read the first 50 pages, really just introducing us to our two main characters, and they're like heading off somewhere. And I believe he's just going to be protecting her from various things. And it's just, so far, as I said, like very endearing and very fun. So first 50 pages down, great start, which we love to see. Made a little chipotle shrimp bowl for dinner. Bon appetit. Hello everyone, cheers. Good morning. I apologize, my vlog ended rather abruptly last night because we had an unexpected visitor. A little furry creature got inside while I was cooking dinner because I had the door open. And it was a bit of a frantic moment for everyone in this household, except Matilda. She was absolutely fine, vibing, thrilled to have a new friend in the house. I was not a fan. I was not a fan at all. Anyway, we have a guy coming later today just to do a whole perusal of the entire house. But needless to say, I just didn't feel like vlogging. I was a little heightened, emotionally speaking. But I do plan to do quite a bit of reading today. I did start the Monster by Cormorant last night before bed, so I have a bit of a reading update here first. But I'm also wanting to read more Sword Heart this morning, which I'm also going to do now to just unwind a bit, de-stress, try not to think too much. Try not to think too much about any possible visitors in this house. Having a little bagel brekkie. I buy bagels in bulk, slice them, freeze them for my favorite bagel place, and then I can enjoy them whenever I want. Hi guys, I thought I would do a reading update of both books because I'm a little behind on my updates. So first off, I have read 100 pages of Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. This book is so cute. It's exactly what I was hoping it would be. It's just cute, funny, endearing, kind of straightforward in its narrative structure. Like, this book is definitely not going to blow my mind. It's kind of a adventure quest story of these two people trying to escape this woman's outlaws and then kind of run into obstacles along the way, and they together are like slowly developing a relationship, getting closer, learning about each other, and it's just cute. Like, everyone's nice from the beginning. It's just two nice people getting to know each other. And it's just pleasant, you know? It's a pleasant, good time. I find myself laughing and smiling and kind of chuckling along, which is exactly what I was hoping for. So 20% of the way through this book, 100 pages in, not bad. In great contrast to the style of that story, I've also read 75 pages of the Monster by Cormorant. A bit more of what this book is about. So this is the Masquerade series, and the first book introduces us to our main character, Baru Cormorant. This is a story that is highly political, very much centers a very morally gray main character. Baru Cormorant is introduced to us in this book, and she has grown up on this island nation with her mothers and her father. She's really happy there. They're all happy there. And then the Masquerade comes. This is a very evil and colonially minded empire, and how they basically take over and integrate countries into their empire is not through like war and bloodshed directly, but instead through like economic takeover and the destruction of their culture and their society, and then they sweep in and basically pick up the pieces. It's very much modeled on, you know, the colonial experience of our own history and world. So it's very, very disturbing. And Baru watches her own homeland be taken over by this empire, and she swears vengeance. From there, she basically enrolls into like one of the government schools, works her way up, gets her first posting as the royal accountant to a faraway empire, and you begin to see her plans begin to be laid down. But Baru is basically, in an effort to destroy the empire from the inside out by having so much power, she also has to do horrible things to achieve that power. So that's kind of the dissonance and just the moral quandary of this book. Again, this book is super political in the way that like how Baru and a lot of the characters who have a lot of power go about maneuvering is again more about like pulling the strings, manipulating people, positioning the economy, all the socials, the society, and pushing the economy and the social perspective of different places to kind of get what they want. It's very interesting and I really enjoyed the first one a lot. So anyway, I've started the sequel, which is the monster Baru Cormorant, which again, just based on the title, you can imagine. Baru is a complicated character, but she's fascinating. This second book takes place almost directly after the first one, and if you've read the first one, the ending is absolutely bananas. So it makes sense that there's a lot of aftermath to deal with based on the results of kind of what went down with the first one, but it also, like, we're dealing with the effects of the end of the first book, but also like the next step, like the next plot movement also begins almost immediately. It's just fascinating and wild. I will say it took me a minute to get settled. The author definitely drops you in, and I had to like remind myself of all the characters, like what even happened, because one, this is a book series that does not hold your hand. There are a lot of characters with a lot of unique motivations, backstories, and reasons why they kind of act the way they do. And there's a lot of reasons why people hate each other, but then work with each other, but then hate each other again. So like remembering all of the like subtle nuances of all these relationships, it took me a minute. I wish there was like a character map at the beginning of the book. There wasn't. But needless to say, the first 75 pages was a slow read because I was really paying attention, but also I couldn't put it down. It's just disturbing. Everyone also wears these masks, which is why the covers are like so creepy, because in the masquerade you wear a mask in service of the emperor. It's just like so disturbing, but also just like so well constructed. The villains are just like so good because they feel like almost like ripped from our world and like dropped into a fantasy world, and like the types of power they're playing with. It's just like all about ego and pride and this desire for power, and it's just horrifying. So it's really good. It's really, really good though. So anyway, clearly quite the contrast between my two reads today. I have a lot of other stuff I need to do, so I'm going to go get dressed, get ready for the day. But I wanted to give you a reading update as I've read almost 200 pages in the first day, which I think is pretty dang good so far. Also, you know it's gonna be a good day because Clay brought home donuts, which we love. And look at that, she even got dressed. Taking on the day, the sun's out, you know, just trying to stay productive, okay? Hi friends, I am not gonna lie, I snuck out at lunch. I had a gift card to get my nails done, so I got my nails done. I haven't gotten my nails done in quite literally like years. So that felt like a special treat. Clay ordered himself a treat too. He got Taco Bell and also got me a bean and cheese burrito, which I'm going to heat up now. I owe y'all a reading update because I've actually read more of the Monster Baru Cormorant, which is so good. It's so dark, and also just how economics is wielded as a weapon specifically in this book just creates for such fascinating political scenarios. It's like a car crash. Like, it's horrifying, but I also cannot look away. So I'm gonna heat up this burrito, I'm gonna get more work done, and then I'll do like a more formal sit down read, and then I'm also gonna do more reading because I need to know what's gonna happen next. Divine. Time to start this week's episode of Survivor because I also have not watched it yet. So it's been a couple days. My reading has just been like this, but I am back on my reading game and I owe y'all a reading update. So I have read to page 200 of Sword Heart, and this book I think is gonna be a little bit steamier than I was initially anticipating when I picked it up. It is also just so charming. It has like the fun quest structure, the banter, the camaraderie, the characters, the slow simmer of the very obvious romance at the heart of it. The plot lines are entertaining, but they're also like not so intense, you know what I mean? So it's just a very easy, breezy, lighthearted read, and it's definitely fulfilling. Like, I honestly needed something light, and I just feel like it's really providing the entertainment and escapism I was hoping it would. So I'm officially 50% of the way through. Just Hala and Strikis, and I also appreciate that they're a little bit older. They're both in their 30s. They're both people who have kind of been discarded by society. Hala specifically as a woman. She's literally considered middle-aged, and because she's a widow, like her value as deemed by where she lives is just very, very low. And people also don't expect much from her or like take her too seriously. And she's just so funny in the way that she like will feed into this perception to get what she wants, and how she like turns that around on people to manipulate them to help herself is just like creates some funny scenarios. But I don't know, the concept of the magic, people trying to understand like how this man could live in a sword and then become a human when it's like pulled out of the scabbard is like a big part of this book too. It's just endearing and funny and just like the perfect quest tale that has a very much a central romance in it that I was hoping for. So this is definitely providing all the entertainment I need. On the other hand, I am 200 pages into the Traitor Baru Cormorant, and I am so disturbed by this book in all of the best way possible. We are on another journey. So what I really liked about book one was we were introduced to Baru Cormorant, her ideals, her desires, her plan, and then we see her kind of plopped into a difficult situation and have to kind of like maneuver her way around finding the solution that'll work for her and also keep people off her back. You also have to see her like move around characters that you want to like and she wants to like, but everyone is always looking out for themselves. So there's really no true alliances within these stories, which just creates a lot of dissonance and like intensity. So similarly, we're watching Baru kind of be plopped in another very complicated political situation, and you have to see her kind of work through the different realities of this. And this time she's accompanied by some very interesting characters that we were introduced to in book one, and everyone, as I mentioned, just has different reasons for doing what they're doing, and it is just fascinating. I can't put it down. Again, reading these two books together is just a hilarious pairing because they could not be more different. One is like straightforward, fun, fluffy, romantic. One is like highly political, complicated, and disturbing. But I feel like this is a vibe, so I'm happy to be reading them together. And that's my reading update. I've read 400 pages so far for this vlog. I plan to try to finish both of these books for this vlog. I'm gonna do more reading today and tomorrow, and I will wrap everything up, and I'm just looking forward to completing both of these stories. Got myself a Greek salad for lunch and a piece of Italian cream cake. Yum. It's tea time, and the blend for right now is Cupid's Breakfast Tea. Even though it is spring, I'm still a huge fan of this Valentine's Day blend. ESA, HBO Max has this Studio Ghibli nature loop, which is just 30 minutes of relaxing nature scenes from Studio Ghibli. I'm filming this when Matilda's waiting to be let back inside because she wants dinner. So I'm gonna speed this up. Also, I'm sitting down to read more Sword Heart. In men that her friends are either married to or interested in, and that's a big red flag. Ding, ding, ding. We just spent a good 2 hours analyzing our Korea itinerary. We're big itinerary Excel people when we travel. Hi friends, I am already in bed. It is an early night. I did not sleep well last night, so it's like 9 p.m. and I am ready to go to sleep. Tonight was kind of a quick one in that Clay and I finished work, and then we ate dinner, and then we spent a large chunk of time just kind of like sorting out, as I mentioned earlier, our Korea itinerary because we were leaving so soon, and we just wanted to put some like last minute things, some additional cafes, buy some tickets, you know, that sort of stuff you sort of do before a trip, and just get organized and settled into our day to day. And now it's 9. Now we're in a good spot, and I'm gonna read more Sword Heart. I want to say I'm like on page 250 of this book. I read another 50 pages right before I did Korea planning, and it's just so fun. I love how T. Kingfisher is including like a lot of well-beloved fantasy elements to this story, and I'm not even talking about like romantic elements, like just fantasy plot elements that she sort of presents in like a lighter, more digestible way, which is also just kind of endearing to come across too. But anyway, I'm gonna get to reading. We'll see how far I'm able to get before I inevitably fall asleep, which will probably be very soon. Matilda says, good morning, everyone. Cheers, friends. Good morning. So, great news. I woke up and was feeling super productive, and I finished Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. I was able to read like a decent amount last night. I think I read 70 pages, and then I woke up and I wrapped the entire thing up today. So I've read, and this book was 420 pages, I want to say, and it was really entertaining. It's definitely not a perfect book. I wouldn't even say it's a perfect romance book, but I did find it just like a lot of fun. It's 415 pages. I did find it a lot of fun, and like the characters are endearing. They're definitely like very tropey. At Night character, if you will, is kind of cheesy in his like classic maleness, if you will, in terms of like romance book tropes, but he was fun. Hala was really, really likable, and she was also very classic in her innocence, similarly found in romance books. But even with all of that, I enjoyed kind of the twists and turns of the plot. I feel like it wasn't just a romance story. There was some pretty interesting things to kind of like keep you captivated. It wasn't complicated. It definitely still is very much like a romance-oriented fantasy plot. But I appreciated the twists and turns of the tale itself. I also really liked the side characters and the family dynamics, and some of the plot twists were entertaining. The tension between Hala and our main character was drawn out, I felt like, very successfully. This book was over 400 pages, which I was kind of surprised by the length, if I'm being honest, when I started it, but it was still like a really quick read, still really fun. I think I gave it like a 3.5 out of 5 stars, like a solidly entertaining fantasy romance. Not my favorite fantasy romance I've ever read, but definitely like enjoyed the ride while I was reading it, you know? But now all I have left is the Monster Baru Cormorant, which I plan to obviously read much more today. I have work now I need to accomplish, but I just woke up and I was like, I'm finishing this book, which I did, and I'm so happy to report that I have a book down for this vlog. So I have like 600 pages read for this vlog. Let's keep this ball rolling, you know? Making an egg salad sandwich for lunch. One of my favorite lunches to make. They're just so good. Of course made with the milk bread. Without milk bread, it's still delicious, but the milk bread just brings it to the next level. And I saved the crust and I dipped the crust in this bowl. It's my favorite part. Isn't she just beautiful? I have finished the bulk of my work, so I'm gonna pour myself a cup of tea. I fully have transformed into a tea girly. And I'm gonna read more of, the, oh, you're getting a facial. More of the Monster Baru Cormorant. Hi friends, I have just been reading, oh, what a stretch, to great success. I've read another 50 pages, and I want to say, how long is this book? And I have about 175 pages left, so not too bad. Hopefully I'll be able to finish by tomorrow to wrap this vlog up, but it's so good. And I think what's interesting in terms of this sequel, I feel like there's definitely an emotional component added. Like the weight of Baru's decisions, she's not a robot. And she does awful things, but it's not that it doesn't impact her. So the continual weight of like another bad thing, another bad thing, another bad thing does break her, and she's like trying to hold it in, but she's going to have moments of weakness, but like at what cost, you know? So seeing her trying to balance her pain while also having like no one to care about her feelings at all is like it's like heartbreaking in a lot of ways. Everything's wrapped in with like national unrest. Like we go to so many different places, and every individual place has their own quirks, like why it's working, and also the seeds of despair that like exist within any society. And like basically her goal is to kind of pick at those to try to unravel the entire thing. And it's just a lot. It's a lot going on. But dang, is it so good. So I'm gonna read more later tonight. I need to edit some videos, which I'm going to do now, and start packing, but I am gonna read more. Lily's laying on the warm laundry. Oh, it's not that warm, but she's still laying on the laundry. But I am about to read more Monster Baru Cormorant after I caught up on all of my Real Housewives episodes. Hi guys, it's Reagan, and welcome to the end of the vlog. The next day, I'm so happy to report, guys, I have read like 850 pages for this vlog because we have 2 completed books to talk about, which we just love to see. So obviously I've talked quite at length about Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher, a fun and romantic like romance fantasy story, a winning combination if you ask me. I love that this genre is getting more and more popular, I feel like, and I'm always on the hunt for new books. I know T. Kingfisher specifically has like other books that fit within this genre. I will be collecting all of them. They're just such a perfect way to put a smile on my face. They're just delightful, easy, breezy. We love to see it. And then we have the monster Baru Cormorant, which was disturbing in all ways, in all of the best ways. I feel like book 2 had all of the fantastic like political elements that I loved in book 1, the difficult moral decisions, but in combination with that, we also had a main character who had to deal with the aftermath of her choices of the first one. So she's continuing to make these horrible decisions, but she's still having to like process the emotional outcomes of making these, and it's just like building and building and building and building on her. And it's like heartbreaking to see, but it's also disturbing, and just the world that Seth Dickinson was able to create in this is just a lot, to be honest. All of the different cultures, all the different locations, the intricacies of all of these places is a large part of the series, and like watching our main character unravel those threads, like there might just be a few loose threads and they will take advantage, just absolutely destroy the entire thing, and it's just a lot, to be honest. Nevertheless, I really enjoyed both books I was able to read over the course of this vlog. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon with another one soon. Goodbye.